Chair recognizes Mr. Fallon for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Inspector General Sopko, who was inaugurated President of the United States on January 20th, 2021? Trump or Biden?
Oh, is this a trick question?
No, it's
Biden.
not. I promise.
Biden, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
And the fighting season in Afghanistan, roughly speaking, Mr. Sopko, is it May through September or is it October through April?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I'm sorry, the fighting season in Afghanistan. There's a fighting season. Is it roughly April to October, or is it October through April?
There used to be that fighting season, but I think over time, maybe it's global warming or whatever, but it has changed. So the Taliban just continued fighting throughout that whole period of time. So.
But were there the violence, was it greater in the summer than in the winter?
Usually it's greater in the summer than in the winter.
Yeah.
Once the passes opened up, then they were coming in. But once the Taliban started taking more territory in Afghanistan, they didn't have to worry about getting the passes from going over the passes and waiting for the snow to melt.
And who was commander-in-chief when the troops retrograded? We drew down from, against the advice, incidentally, of senior military commanders, we drew down from 2,500 to about 650. Was it Biden or Trump?
Oh, it was President Biden. I thought you were talking about the commander-in-chief on the ground. Okay.
And who was the president of the United States on August 26, 2021, when ISIS-K terrorists, who were amongst the 5,000 that escaped Bagram because we drew down to 650, who was president then on August 26, 2021? Biden or Trump?
I think it was Biden.
Biden, yeah. And this administration, the Biden administration, oversaw the abandonment of approximately $7 billion worth of U.S. military equipment in Afghanistan. And then the administration, Joe Biden's administration, the National Security Council, authored a 12-page report on the Afghan withdrawal. Mr. Sopko, who did the report blame for this disaster?
I can't say. I mean, I read it. I don't know.
Well, it was clearly that they blamed President Trump, and that was just very disingenuous. And the State Department, in your own words, didn't cooperate with your oversight responsibilities. Is that true?
True, but I had nothing to do if my agency wasn't asked to help prepare that report.
Oh, I know, because that
report,
report, yeah, Mr.
our
Sopko,
reports stand for themselves.
Yeah, your report is actually from an independent entity.
Yeah.
That report was garbage, and it wasn't worth the paper it was written on. I remember being in armed services in about a month after the attack on our service members that killed 13 Americans. And I asked General Milley and Secretary Austin if they could guarantee the American people that none of those 5,000 terrorists and criminals and scumbags that escaped Bagram a couple weeks prior to the 26th were responsible directly for the attack that killed the 13 Americans. And they both said that they could not guarantee that. Well, come to find out that the suicide bomber was indeed one of the 5,000 folks that escaped. And what has this administration done? I mean, they've obfuscated, they blamed President Trump, they stonewalled Cigar's oversight responsibilities, and this has been a catastrophic failure. And Joe Biden, Secretary Blinken defended the withdrawal, saying that he made the right decision. Secretary Austin said that he had no regrets just recently. I mean, this is absolutely inexcusable. So, Mr. Sopko, did the Afghan security forces have the expertise and training required to take over and secure Bagram Air Base?
I can't speak specifically for that air base, but the way it occurred, they didn't even know the Americans were gone until hours afterwards. So, but to actually protect the base, they probably could have if they'd been given advance notice. But what they told us and what General Sadat told us and others, they kind of woke up one morning and all of a sudden we were gone.
And how long did the Afghan forces remain in place before the government fell?
Well, the place was collapsing starting, 6 months before, but they basically, it ended when President Ghani ran away. I forget what actual date that was.
So we're talking weeks.
Weeks from when to when? From Bagram to Ghani?
It's not, it wasn't years. Yeah, from the time in which we had our final withdrawal until the time the Taliban had full control of
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
Ghani flees, I think, August 15th. Doha Agreement was signed February of 29th of 2020. Biden made his decision, I believe, on April 14th of 21. So those are the dates.
Well, the tragedy is,
Would the gentleman yield?
well, my time has expired.
Oh, okay, he's expired.
I yield back.